What's up, guys? This is Jon Steingraber with my brand new show. It's called One-on-One with Jon Steingraber. I'm super excited about it. We're going to be doing these every single week, and we're going to have guests on the show. We're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about business. We're going to be talking about personal growth. We're going to be doing a lot of interviews. And also, we're going to take calls from you guys, from the audience. So any questions that you guys have about anything from, making a financial decision to college or a job, or should you quit your job, or should you jump into real estate, or anything that you guys want to talk about, business, real estate questions, I'm here for you. I want to bring as much value as I possibly can to you guys. I do a lot of reading. I go to a lot of events. I teach a lot of events, a lot of personal development stuff that I'm involved in as well. And I'm just excited to bring a ton of value to you guys. We have some awesome sponsors of our show too. So I'm going to be bringing some amazing resources to you guys that are in the real estate business. And definitely tag somebody that's in the real estate business or wants to get in it. Or just overall wants to be entertained by just some business talk. It's going to be a pretty diverse show. It's all about business, and it's called One-on-One with Jon Steingraber because the calls are going to be one-on-one, the interviews are going to be one-on-one, and we might play a little one-on-one basketball every once in a while. So that's going to be fun. So if you know somebody that might want to come on the show, or you want to come on the show and you think that it'd be a great back and forth, let me know. And yeah, so it's going to be awesome. Those of you that don't know much about me, my name is Jon Steingraber, and I've trained people all around the country on specifically real estate, tax reduction strategies. Of course, there's always personal growth and mindset intertwined in my presentations because I follow a lot of people, and I have my own life experiences that I try to share some wisdom that I've gained throughout my life. And anyway, we're just here to give back. I flip properties. I buy and hold properties. I do commercial real estate investing. I'm also the chief operating officer at a brokerage here in Union County called Signature Realty. We have about 100 superstar real estate agents. My wife is one of the top agents in the state, Michelle Pice, with signaturerealtynj.com. And you can check her out on michellepress.com or michellepicegroup.com. Hopefully you guys tune in every single week and participate. And I'm going to be sharing a bunch of education, so it's always going to be something new. We're not going to follow a specific theme. Sometimes it's going to be interviews, sometimes it's going to be calls, and a combination of a lot of things. Today, because it is the kickoff episode, I decided I'm just going to address a video that I saw on the internet. Some people have actually made a lot of comments on this YouTube video, or maybe you've seen it on Facebook, and it's by somebody that I respect a lot. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk, and he talks about, he started talking about real estate. He's recently, about last year, he started a conference called Agent 2021, where he's got a lot of real estate agents, travel agents, and insurance agents, where he teaches them about digital marketing. And he had just come off his second Agent 2021 event, and he made a few comments about home ownership. So I want to show you the video so you have a little bit of context, and then we're going to break down what my opinion is about it. And the reason for that is, he kind of talks about home ownership in a way where it would probably, if you watch that clip and you didn't watch the whole podcast, like most of us do, we don't watch an hour-long podcast. We just watch those highlight reels, right? If you just watch that, you would probably say, wow, what, if I own a home, like, why am I owning a home, right? Or you would doubt it. And I want to share, the numbers behind, what I believe, and give you guys a little bit of a breakdown because, when you're somebody like Gary Vaynerchuk and you're an influencer and you have millions of followers, I think you have a responsibility to kind of talk about the things that you're an expert in. And he does that, right? Digital marketing, branding, all those things. But he made a couple comments about real estate that I disagree with personally, really being immersed, since 2006 in the real estate investing business and real estate as a whole. And the reason I feel compelled to do this is because I've promoted Gary Vaynerchuk a ton, and I still love the guy. He's awesome. He puts out great content. But the followers that I have, or maybe not followers, but people that are in my sphere, come out to my real estate club, have been to my events, things like that, they probably watch Gary Vaynerchuk, right? Because I've promoted him a lot. So I want to share my take on it. And I want you guys to tell me what your take is on it, right? So when you watch this, I want you to comment. Hopefully you can have some video conversations back and forth. So make a video, post it right in the comment, and tag Jon Steingraber in it. That way I can see it and it'll pop up on my phone as a notification, right? If you're watching this on Instagram, send me a little message if you want. It's going to be fun. We'll do a little bit of back and forth, and we'll see what the consensus is at the very end after we're done arguing. So here's the video. Check it out.
I'll give you something I'm hot on right now. I do not think the American dream should be buying a home anymore. I think it's full of
Tell me more of that.
It's
Yeah.
It's a bad use of upfront capital, and it ties you up.
Correct.
And it's just not smart.
It's not going to appreciate. Not the way you want it to.
What is it for? Like, I'm pissed that I own a home.
Yeah.
You know, you're
I would literally rent in perpetuity.
And you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, let me give you my take on it, and then why don't you fire away with some questions based on the feedback I'm about to give you, cool?
Yeah.
So, you know, in that podcast that I gave, contextually, the way I framed it, I don't know, you know, obviously there was clips, and I don't know how many people watched the whole podcast or listened to the whole podcast, or what context I could have created that was better, or building on me talking about this at Agent 2021 and other places. It is deeply my opinion that the amount that far too many people in their 20s and 30s maximize their down payment on a home, right? Leaving them with no liquid to be able to do things with them. And if they are like me, like I said, right? And are entrepreneurial and on the offense, that there are better uses of their dollars than buying a home, because in renting a home or an apartment, they would take that theoretically, that $200,000-300,000 that they're putting down on a down payment, and they're putting it to work, whether in their business, building their brand through their ads, or investing in the stock market, right?
There you go. That's it. So obviously he talks about other stuff as well in here. And then he just recently posted another video, kind of like a response to this, but the consensus is kind of the same. So he's essentially talking about entrepreneurs, right? People that are trying to get into business, and he says, don't really tie up your capital, right? Don't tie up your capital. And he's really questioning if the American dream is owning a home, you know, and I want to know what you guys think. I agree with him on that. I don't think owning a home is the American dream. I think the American dream is way beyond having a home with a white picket fence, right? But it's a matter of, is it a good investment? Does it make more sense to rent than to buy? And look, can this be different in different areas? Absolutely. What I would expect from Gary Vaynerchuk, especially somebody that's already done events with agents, he has direct access to a lot of real estate agents. I know that he's personally, you know, researched real estate agents, because you can't put on an event teaching real estate agents how to do digital marketing if you don't understand their business, right? You always do a little bit of research. What I would have expected him to say with his, you know, hustle mentality is, you know, don't rent, right? Don't rent, buy a house. But when you buy a house, be smart about it, right? If you travel a lot, well, then think about that. See if that makes sense. And maybe you buy a house that people are going to want to rent out while you're gone and do Airbnb. And you set yourself up to be able to capitalize, and maybe you could live for free, right? And then you still have an investment, and the appreciation is still going up over time. And that makes sense. Or buy a 2-family or a 3-family or a 4-family house and save up your money to be able to do that. What he's saying is, don't tie up your money. And he specifically states an example in one of his interviews, $200,000. $200,000, I mean, in most of the country, you could buy a house cash. And he's talking about $200,000 as a down payment. And I mean, he's from Jersey, right? Our brokerage, Signature Realty NJ, is in the same exact town that his dad's liquor store is in, Wine Library. So I know he knows Springfield, New Jersey. So I'm going to use that as an example, you know, for context to basically educate you guys on what my take is of this. And I'll tell you right now, I don't think I'm the smartest guy in the world. I'm sure some of you will be able to challenge this, but this is just one man's take. And hopefully you guys will get that I'm looking at it strictly from a logical perspective on how it's a better investment, at least in our area and in most areas, to buy instead of rent a house. And I have a message for you, Gary. If you're upset about owning a home, and you're going to rent in perpetuity, well, then you can sell your house, maybe to me, and I'll rent it back to you on a lease, right? You could do a 1 year or 2 year lease, right? No big deal. And then you can be nimble and move around if you're moving around a lot, if that's what's important to you. I don't really understand why he's pissed at owning a home. Most people, I think, would be pissed at renting, right? I'm going to be doing actually a first-time homebuyer seminar at Kane University on March 10th, really to educate college kids, right, early on, and also people that are currently renting a house or an apartment. And one of the first questions that I'm going to ask them is, how long have you been renting? And what's the average amount of rent that you've paid, right? If you pay $2,000 a month in rent for 10 years, right, how much is that? That's $24,000 a year. Times 10, that's $240,000. How do you justify paying $240,000 in rent over 10 years and say that that's a good investment? I mean, at least if you put it towards a house, you're paying down the principal, you get to take advantage of appreciation, you get tax write-offs, unlike, just being a renter, and you get to do whatever the heck you want to the house. I'm shocked by his comments, because I would think that from Gary Vaynerchuk, the comments would be, like I said before, but also like, look, if you're going to buy a house, be smart about it. Make sure that you buy something with equity in it. Get a good deal, right? Don't settle for paying top dollar for a house. Put the least amount of down payment that you can possibly put down. That way you don't tie up all your capital. And then when you build up equity, right, you could potentially get a line of credit at a super low interest rate. I'm talking 4%, right? 4.5%. Right, at today's interest rates. I mean, rents are all-time highs right now. Rents are all-time highs. Interest rates, all-time lows. And they're fixed for 30 years. It's amazing what we could do. But anyway, the first thing I want to do is show you something. And then we're going to call my buddy John Palumbo. He's been my mortgage broker from Freedom Mortgage for many, many years. Since I started real estate. And I want to show you guys something real quick. And like I said, I'm going to use the context of Springfield, New Jersey. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you some area statistics. And, don't let me lose you here. It's going to be real quick. Check it out. Springfield, we're going to go 12 months back, and we're going to look at houses, right? So this is the beds right here, okay? This is the amount of beds right here. So let's take the 3-bedroom right here, 3-bedroom. And we're going to go over to solds, right? Sold properties, right? Sold listings that are 3-bedroom homes, right? On average sale price sell for $414,000. All homes together sell for $427,000 on average. But let's just take a 3-bedroom home, right? $414,000. So, if we got a little bit of a deal, right? That's what I'd recommend. You get a little bit of a deal. Maybe you get it for $400,000, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to call my buddy John Palumbo. Hopefully he picks up. And I'm going to ask him how much a mortgage would be, what the down payment would be. And the reason I'm going to call him is because I'm not a mortgage rep, right? I want you guys to hear it directly from him. So if you were to guess, right, how much a mortgage amount would be with principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, pity payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, on a $400,000 house with the lowest down payment that you could make, how much would your monthly payment be? Okay, so I'm going to call him up. But in the meanwhile, I want you guys to think about what you think.
John, how's it going?
John, what's up? How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm actually on a show right now, one-on-one with Jon Steingraber show. First one we're doing, and I just wanted to call you to ask you a couple questions. Do you have a few minutes?
Yeah, sure. Fine.
Okay, cool. So I'm just giving everybody an example of a $400,000 purchase price on a home. Okay. Mm-hmm. What's the lowest down payment that a first-time homebuyer can put down on a house? The lowest.
So you can go a couple different ways. You can go conventional with 3% down if it's a single family, or you can also go with an FHA loan with 3.5. If they're veterans, you can even do 100% financing on a VA loan. So that's really the minimum down you can get away with on a single family.
Okay, cool. So let's do the conventional example, because everybody's not a veteran, but if you're a veteran, like he said, you don't have to put any money down. So you're not tying up any of your capital if you want to start a business. So 3% down on a $400,000 house. Let's assume taxes are $9,000 a year.
Okay.
And your insurance bill homeowners insurance is going to be about $1,000 because it's a primary home that you're going to live in. So what would your down payment requirement be, and your average closing costs, and then how much would your monthly payment be?
All right, so on a $400,000 scenario with, let's say, conventionally 3.3% down, taxes, insurance, everything built in, you're looking right around $3,100 a month. Assuming rates are probably going to be around, let's say, 4.5. If the credit's good, maybe even a little less. Low to mid 4 range right now on a 30-year fix. Down payment, you're looking at 3% would be $12 grand. Okay, closing costs on average are going to run you about $10,000 or so, including, well, the closing, your attorney, title, survey, appraisal, and then your escrow, your tax and your insurance. So figure somewhere around 10, maybe even up to $12,000, depending on the house, but right in that range.
Okay.
So right around $3,100 a month for payment, $12,000 down, and then another $10,000 aside for closing and escrow.
Yeah, I'm gonna use the $12,000 for closing costs as well. So we have a down payment, we have closing costs, right? Closing costs. Yep. Okay, perfect. So that's $24,000 total. Perfect. And is it true that they're allowed to borrow that money from their IRA or 401k for their first home?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you can trail where the money's coming from, they can borrow from one of their retirement accounts, IRA, 401k. They can get it as a gift. Absolutely. We just have to be able to trail it.
Okay, and what was the interest rate that you were saying?
4.5.
4.5%.
Yeah, you're in that mid 4 range right now, mid 4, maybe even the low 4. If you go with an FHA, you might even get in the low 4 range. FHA payment's going to be right around the same. The mortgage insurance will be right about the same. The down payment is 3.5 minimum, but you're like right around the same amount, like $3,100 a month.
Okay, and that's with PMI or no?
Yeah, with everything. PMI is going to run you in the probably in the upper 200 range, like 275, something in that range.
Okay.
Mortgage insurance.
Great. So that's primary mortgage insurance for those of you that don't know what PMI is. All right, John, thanks a lot for your help. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later, John.
Bye. So good. This is perfect. I'm glad you picked up. So we have $3,100 a month that you would pay for a $400,000 purchase. You would need $12,000 in down payment, right? Just 3% of 400 grand, right? Another $12,000 in closing costs. So your total out of pocket is $24,000. And you don't even need to come up with this money because you can borrow it from your IRA or 401k, right? And specifically, Gary Vaynerchuk was talking about, people in their 20s and 30s, right? Hopefully, if you're in your 30s, you have some money in your IRA or 401k. Probably not if you're 20 years old, right? Because you are probably just getting out of college if you went to college, right? So, I want you guys to just take a look at all this stuff. Your total investment's 24 grand, not 200,000. So we're talking about 10% of the example that he was given, right? Maybe if you're buying a condo or a really nice place in Manhattan, you need a $200,000 down payment, but not in, not on a $400,000 house, right? So for those of you that didn't know, the statistic actually is about 84% of people think that you need 20% down payment to buy a home. And I think Gary is one of those people. I think Gary thinks that you need 20% down payment, for a home. You don't need that, right? And the interest rate is pretty darn low. It's not like you're putting this on your credit card, right? You're doing this. This $3,100 is including your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Okay, so really, really good snapshot right there. I'm actually going to save this just in case I need to come back to it. There we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back over here, and let's say we wanted to rent in Springfield. So now we know that your monthly payment is how much? $3,100, right? $3,100. That's what your monthly payment is. Now, of course, you have utilities, right? Maybe you have a little bit more utilities on a house that you own, right? And a little bit more maintenance, right? But there's also other benefits of owning a home. Like you get to do whatever you want to it. You get additional write-offs, which we'll talk about. But let's say you wanted to rent in Springfield, right? So let's go to Springfield, New Jersey, and let's look for 3-bedroom rentals. 3-bedroom rental, 3-bedroom rental. Let's see how much money they cost, right? Because he says that you should rent. So, okay, here we have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, and it's listed for $2,795. Cute townhome. You have access to a community pool. $2,800. Then you have another house, $2,950. Okay, a little bit less than that $3,100 that we talked about. Then you have $3,500 and $3,850. These are both more than actually owning your own home. This one's a little bit bigger. It's a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath. Looks like it's a little renovated colonial here. It's nice, okay? So, with that being said, you could rent a house anywhere between $2,800 up to $3,850, right? If you're going to compare it, you're not going to compare it to living in an apartment, right? If you're going to buy a house, right, then you should compare it to renting a house. If you're going to rent an apartment for $1,700, $1,800 a month, that's fine. Yeah, it's going to be less than that $3,100, but it's not apples to apples, right? It's not, it's not the same type of environment, right? But anyway, even if you did rent for $2,000 a month, right? One thing that a lot of people don't know, let's put in here, we're going to buy a home, we're going to borrow $400,000 about, and let's put 4.5% interest rate like John Palumbo said, over 30 years, and we're going to hit calculate. So this is an amortization schedule. This is important because all this money right here is interest, money that's going towards not going towards your mortgage. This is going towards your mortgage, it's principal. So you're paying down your mortgage. So if you bought a house right now in February, right, you would pay about $5,900 by the end of the year, right, through December. You'd pay $5,900 off on your house. So that $5,900, guys, that's called equity. It's mortgage paydown, meaning now you don't owe that money anymore on your house. And assuming your house is worth the same amount of money or more, you just built $5,900 in equity. When you're renting, what are you doing? You're paying down the landlord's mortgage and you're helping them build equity because you have no equity in that property, right? Unless you did a lease with an option to buy, which is a totally different thing. But what's important about all this, check all this out. $16,400, right? For 11 months, from February to December, that's how much money you paid in interest. Why is that important? Because this number right here is tax deductible, right? Even with Trump's tax reform law, any interest up to $750,000 mortgage, right, after January 1st, 2018, he said in the tax reform that it's tax deductible. So on a $400,000 house, this is all tax deductible. What does that mean? Some people don't know what a tax write-off is. That means that if you make $80,000, right, and you have $16,000 in interest, you subtract that $16,000 from your $80,000, right? You made this, right? So this is your gross income, right? And this is your interest that you're paying on your mortgage. You get to write this off. That means that you can subtract it from your gross income, right? So now you don't have to pay taxes on this. Let's say you pay 25% in taxes. On all your money, you're supposed to pay 25%. What this basically means now is that you don't have to pay, right, taxes on 80, you only have to pay on $64,000, right? And of course, you have your standard deduction, right? Some people would bring that up. But yes, you're allowed to write off a lot of things, especially your first year, because you can also write off, some of your closing costs, right? So you actually get to save about 25% of that $16,000 per year, right, in interest. So what's 16,000? 16,000 times 0.25. $4,000 exactly, right? So $4,000, right? That makes sense. 4 times 4 is 16. So $4,000 in tax savings. I can't spell. Tax savings, right? So look, you're paying $3,100 for a mortgage per month, but you also get to save $4,000. Pretty good, right? 3,100 times 12, right, is per year you're paying about $37,200. But now we subtract $4,000 from our tax savings, and really what we're paying is $33,200. Right? So this is really what you're paying. But check this out. Our house, when we bought it, was worth $400,000. Okay, if you look at history in real estate, obviously it goes up, it goes down, but on average it goes up, right? 10 years ago, was a house more money or less money? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, right? So on average, houses go up 5-point-something%, okay? I don't want to use 5%, okay? Because 5% is the high side of the spectrum. Let's just say 4%, right? Let's say houses go up on average 4%. So the good thing is, how much money down did we put? We put $12,000 down payment plus $12,000 in closing costs, equaling $24,000. Now check this out. Year one, at the end of year one, right, our house should be worth about $416,000. Why? Because it went up 4%. Year two, right, let's do $416,000 times 1.04. That's adding 4%. So year two, it should be worth $432,000 already. Pretty interesting, right? Why? Because now we have $32,000 right there that we've gained in appreciation. Appreciation. We've gained $32,000 in appreciation. How much money did we put in, guys? Check this out. $24,000. But we already have $32,000 in appreciation. How can anybody say that this is a bad investment? To invest $24,000, and by year two, you have a lot more money back, right, in equity, right? I mean, what does this look like in year 5, in year 10? You're building a lot of equity. And specifically in New Jersey, you know, the cost of living is high, right? I mean, let's think about this for a second. Let's say you live in Jersey, right? And you start working at 20-something years old, right? I just want you to just picture this, right? You're 20-something years old, 20, 21, and you're living in New Jersey, okay? And you don't buy a home. You rent, okay? And you can have a business, you can have a job, whatever the case is. Now, if you're not making investments, okay, for passive income, right, for your future, and when I say passive income, okay, I mean stocks, right, that pay dividends, rental properties, things like that. You are relying on the traditional forms of retirement, which are what? 401k, right? You're saving up money in your 401k. 2, pension, which in 1976, 96% of jobs offered a pension, right? But if you're 21, 22 years old now, sorry, less than 20% of jobs that are out there right now that are available probably are offering a pension. Maybe it's a little higher, maybe it's a little lower, right? I haven't checked recently, but you know, if I look at 10 jobs on a job board, I don't think 8 of them even are going to say comes with a pension, right? Maybe they'll put some money towards your health insurance. Maybe they'll match 3% of your 401k contributions, right? But most of them don't come with a pension. Why? Because they're super expensive for employers and they don't want that liability, right? Many, many years ago, they used it as a carrot for you to stick with an employer, right? The stickiness factor. Now, you know, they're not common because they're just too expensive. They're hard to keep up with, et cetera. So what are you going to do? You're 21, 22 years old. You rent. You have a 401k. You contribute 3% a year, right? Even if you make $100,000 a year, if you contribute 3% a year to your 401k, that's $3,000. If your employer contributes another $3,000, that's $6,000 a year. For 30 years, that's $180,000. And hopefully you made some money on it. So let's say you have $250,000. Let's say you have $300,000, right, in your 401k. Can you retire with $350,000? The answer is no. You'll live for 3 years, right? 30 years from now, the cost of living is going to be higher, not lower. And your cost of living is going to probably be $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 a year if your cost of living is 50 or 60 today, right? So you're not going to have many years left, right? Those $300,000 are going to go just like that. So what do you have to do? You have to build a business that you can sell, right? Right, and get all this equity. Or what's what most people do? The average person, what do? They buy a house, they pay it off over those 30 years, and then they have all this equity. And that's what a lot of people in Jersey do. They sell their house, and guess what? The government, at least as of right now, and the way that the laws are now and how they have been, you can't predict the future, but you know, if you've lived in your house for more than 2 years, right, and you sell it, you get tax-free money. If you're single, up to $250,000 of your profit is tax-free. And if you're married, right, you each have $250,000, so it's $500,000 tax-free. So that's what people in New Jersey do, right? They're 50, 55, 60, 70 years old, and they sell their house in Jersey, right? I know. We did close to 500 transactions last year at our brokerage, Signature Realty NJ, and they sell, right? And then they get that money tax-free, and where do? They go to a tax-free state like Florida, state income tax-free, right? Right? Not federal taxes, but their state income is tax-free. and the cost of living is lower. That's what people are doing. So now, right, Gary is telling people to not buy, to rent, right? And he's made some comments like, look, my advice isn't for everybody. I'm talking about not, tying up your money. But, the truth is you don't really have to tie up your money. There's not a lot of money to tie up. We're talking $24,000 right here. And you could borrow that money from your IRA if you have it, right? Or a 401k, right? Here's what's beautiful about this that Gary's not really talking about, right? So year 5, right? Let's say your house went up in value $15,000 a year times 5 years, right? Which is very possible, right? 15,000 times 5, right? What's that number? $75,000, right? Well, that's $75,000 in equity. Guess what you could do? You could pull out a home equity line of credit. I'm not saying to do this. I'm just talking from the perspective of, borrowing money from your house at low interest. Let's say interest rates are at 5% or 6%. And you don't pay interest on a home equity line of credit unless you use the money, right? So let's say you pull out about 70% of that. So that's, $50,000. Now you have $50,000 available to you when you had $24,000 before. So what does that mean? You got your $24,000 back. Hello? $24,000 back. Are you guys with me? And you have another $26,000, and this is tax-free because it's a loan, right? It's a loan, right, from your equity, your home equity line of credit. So you have all your money back, right, plus you have $26,000 that you can play with. Now, you might be like, yeah, but you have a monthly mortgage payment on the $50,000. Do you know how much money a monthly mortgage payment is on $50,000? I mean, do you have any clue? Let's look at it. Let's go back. Let's say you had a mortgage for $50,000. And let's use 5.5%, right? The average between 5 and 6%. Your monthly mortgage payment is $284 a month. That's it. $284 a month. You know what's funny? If you're renting for 5 years, your rent's going to go up more than $283 a month in 5 years, right? Because you're renting and then it's going to go up about 4% a year, most likely, right? Your rent. And I want you guys to see something. Let's say you're renting instead of buying, like Gary's talking about, right? And you're renting for $3,000 a month. Right? If it goes up 4% a year, that's $120 per month per year. Hello, 5 years out, you're paying $600 more per month. And you have no equity. And you don't get tax write-offs. And you don't have appreciation. And you can't do whatever you want to your house. And if the landlord wants to kick you out and give you notice, they can say, hey, I'm going to kick you out. Right? They send you a notice and then you have to leave. Not the funnest of things, right? Your mortgage at least is fixed, right? You know what you're going to pay. Your taxes aren't fixed, but in a lot of states in the country, they're fixed to a certain amount, 1 or 2% that they go up per year, right? So anyway, I know some people are thinking, well, this is the best case scenario, right? Right? If the market goes down, what'll happen? Look, I have something to tell you, okay? Because a lot of people don't know this. If the market drops, I want you to understand, why would it drop? Why would the real estate market drop? The real estate market drops when banks stop lending. What happened in 2007? Right? Banks said, we've been giving away too much money. Then they said, let us stricten our guidelines. Now you need a down payment, right? Because they were giving away money, right? At 100% financing. Now you need a down payment. You need to actually have a real Social Security number, right? You have to have a job, like a verifiable job. It's not just you telling me that you have a job and you make $150,000, right? As a waiter, that's not how it is anymore. Now everything is full doc. Is there some loans that are not full doc? Yes, of course. Of course, there's some special programs, but the interest rate's going to be higher, things like that. Okay, but what's my point? My point is, let's say the market drops. If the market drops, guess what you can do? You can appeal your property taxes if you're a homeowner. Right? If you bought a house for $400,000, your house goes down to $350,000. Well, you can appeal your property taxes, right? Because that's more than 15%, right? And that's the number, that's the threshold there. If you look up tax appeals, it has to be more than 15%, right? So if the market drops by more than 15%, you have to do a tax appeal and lower your property tax bill. Now you just lowered your rent, right? It's not rent, it's a mortgage, right? And you still have a tangible asset. You still have a house. But when banks stop lending money, people can't buy a house. So what happens in the economy? The demand for rent goes up. Okay, the demand for rent goes up. What happens to people in houses that are over leveraged and they lose their job because the economy is bad? What happens to them? They get foreclosed on, or they do a short sale. And then what do they have to do? They can't buy. They have to wait 3-4 years a lot of times. So they rent. So the demand for rent skyrockets, right? It skyrockets. So the demand for rent is up, right? And now your rent that you're paying as a renter, if you take that advice, is going to go up, right? It's going to go up. So just keep that in mind that, I'm not saying to buy a house or to rent a house. What I'm saying is you have to do the numbers, right? I would say, here's the best thing, and this is what I teach in my first-time homebuyer seminar. Buy a 2-family. Buy a 3-family. Live in one unit, right? And then rent out the other units. I have a 4-family house right now, okay? I bought it for $290,000, okay? We put in a little bit over $100,000. It's a 4-family with a 4-car garage on a double lot, okay? Right in Linden, New Jersey, Union County, okay? So each apartment is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. There's a young gentleman buying it right now for $625,000, okay? We just signed the contract, $625,000. He's going to rent out 3 units for $1,500 each. That's $4,500, right? And he's going to rent out his 4 garages for $150 each. That's another $600. That's $5,100, right? That's $5,100 in rental income that he's going to get. Check this out for a second. Let's say he gets a mortgage for $600,000, right? He puts a down payment of $25,000. At today's interest rates of 4.5%, let's see what his monthly mortgage payment's going to be. Check this out. $3,000 a month. Of course, he's got taxes and insurance. The taxes on that property, because it's on a double lot, are $15,000, and then insurance is probably going to be another $1,000 or $2,000, right? So you're looking at $1,500 extra a month. So that's $4,500 a month in mortgage payment. He's going to live in one unit, rent out the other 3 for $4,500, and get $600 a month in rent from the garages. That's $5,100. So he's making $600 for living in the property every single month for putting down about $25,000 down. That's an amazing investment. And he's got another lot, okay, that he could potentially build on in the future. Unbelievable opportunity. So look for deals like that. If you guys are in Jersey and you want help with that, contact us. Send us a message, right? Send me a direct message on Instagram, on Facebook, and we can help you with that, right? So, every week we're going to be doing a video of some sort of topic. Either I'm interviewing a guest or we're going to be taking calls from you guys. But more importantly, I just want you guys to interact, right? Share, comment, tell me what you guys think about this video. Tell me if you think it's a better idea to buy or to rent. What do you guys think? I'm super excited about what the future holds with this show. I think we're going to be able to get a lot of content out there for you guys. We're going to get a lot of feedback from you guys, and we're going to be interviewing some of my good friends and then people that we meet along the way. And I'm excited about it. So hopefully you guys are too. And soon we'll be sending you guys instructions on how to call in, right, when we're doing the show, or we'll call you guys. But if you want to ask a question, you can always message us, and we'll try to answer it on the show if we have time for it. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Follow us on YouTube, right? Subscribe so that way you can get notified. If you're watching this on Instagram, click that little button with those 3 dots. Click on it and say subscribe to notifications. We're going to be doing this show every single week, and the purpose of the show is really to inspire you guys, to educate you guys, and take you to the next level. That's what life is all about. I read a lot, I invest a lot in myself, and this is just a way to be able to give back to you guys and really learn myself. Right? Because, by doing this show, I'm always going to be, pushing myself to get to the next level. And that's what it's all about. It's all about growth. It's all about helping each other. And our motto, even at our real estate club here in Jersey, is seek to serve, right? Seek to serve. The more that you give, the more that you'll get. I'm a big believer in good karma. Thank you guys for tuning in to One-on-One with Jon Steingraber. Thank you to, some of the sponsors that we have: Freedom Mortgage, Alpha Funding, Solutions, and of course Signature Realty NJ, and Joshua Productions for putting on the whole production here. So thanks guys for tuning in. I'll see you next week.